Welcome back to Two Sides, Same Couch. We are a podcast where we push past insecurities, ask uncomfortable questions, and grow in new, exciting, and often uncomfortable ways. I'm Myron.
And I'm Maggie.
All right, now our topic for today is expectations in relationships. I feel like that's a very relatable and poignant topic, especially in the current state of affairs. Again, if you've been watching any Love Island then this past season, then expectations in relationships have been a kind of a key thing that people have been dealing with. But as we move forward, our first question, why did we choose this topic?
Well, he asked me that question because I chose this topic.
Yes, why did you choose this topic?
And just to clarify, when we say relationships, yes, of course we mean dating, love, relationships, but like literally all relationships. So friends, family. And this topic, I think I selfishly chose it because I wanted to know what Myron thought about some of these questions. I think this is something, this is a topic like I don't have the answers to, and I'm kind of figuring out in real time.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that's why I'm interested in talking about this, because I think there's a lot there. And I think that if people can, myself included, if I can grow in this area or have a better understanding, I think my relationships will be healthier all across the board. So yeah, I just have a lot of questions on this topic. That's why I wanted to talk about it.
All right.
So leading into my first question, what are expectations in a relationship really, and where do they come from? And I looked it up. I looked up the definition. So the definition says an expectation refers to a belief or anticipation that something will happen or should happen in the future. It can be based on experience, assumptions, or standards. So Mullen, what do you think an expectation is? Do you agree with the definition?
Expectation refers to the belief or an anticipation that something will happen. Yeah, I think the definition is spot on. But as to what are the expectations in relationships really, and where do they come from? I think inherently as people, we have expectations for most situations that we go into, particularly relationships. I think we almost have to go out of our way to not have expectations for things. I think that's usually a rarer circumstance for us to, especially in a relationship. It's
just interacting with humans in general.
Interacting with humans, we typically have expectations, especially if we base expectations based off of personality types, race, age, gender, like all of those things come into play and formulate in our mind, based off of previous instances and circumstances, and we generate an even unconscious expectation of what may happen. And, hopefully we're pleasantly surprised or expectations are met, but oftentimes we find ourselves disappointed because of expectations we may have unconsciously set. So where do they come from? They come from just being human beings interacting with people on a daily basis.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think they can come from like good places and also like maybe unhealthy places. So for example, like a good place, I think for me, and this is just an expectation I have interacting with humans in general. Like there are so many different types of people out there in the world. Like I think I'm a person that I generally like expect people to be kind. Like I think I'm going into a situation and I'm just assuming that do you get what I'm saying? Like if I meet someone for the first time, I'm assuming that this person is kind. Yes. I'm assuming they're the best. I'm assuming the best of them.
You're an optimist.
I am. I'm like, see the glass half full. Is that the expression? Yes.
Yeah.
Type of person.
Yeah.
And that's really not the case for a lot of people. I think a lot of people, do not enter situations with people with that same outlook. Where does that come from in me? I mean, I think it's twofold. I think it is how God made me. I think like I have this, like we talked a lot last episode about some of the superpowers I feel like you have, your ability to like not judge people. I think one of the superpowers that God gave me is like literally seeing the best in people and in situations. That can be that can always go, there's always a negative side to that. Like it can be a little delusional because like you also have to see people for what they're giving you and adjust accordingly. Yeah. And I can't just like let's say I'm assuming the best of someone, they give me energy back that maybe is not matching that. I need to then adjust, and I can't just stay here continuing to assume the best of them when they're showing me something different. So of course there's a negative side to that. But I mean, I agree with you. I think it's just natural to the human experience, like expectations. I think they can be positive. I think they can be negative. I think they're very normal. I mean, you hear a lot about like people saying to not have expectations. I feel like that's something that people will suggest.
Yeah.
But how is that even real if that's part of the human experience? Like, how does that work?
I think, well, I mean, again, that goes into not having an expectation. So it's more of like a defense mechanism, you know, preparing yourself for disappointment or whatever. I think it's more beneficial to manage expectations than just because
to not have
I don't think everyone's built to not have expectations. That's hard for a lot of people to turn, you know, to turn it off like it's a light switch. I'm fortunate enough that I can.
You know what you remind me of? If anyone's seen Vampire Diaries, have you seen that show?
No. Oh. My nephew has, so Danny can fill me in.
Well, everyone who has seen it can attest to the vampires can like turn on and off their emotions.
Oh, really?
And like, it's like a choice. I think potentially when they turn it off, it's like really hard for them to actually turn it back on. Yeah. So they don't do it very often. But sometimes when you talk, that reminds me of that. I'm like, he can just flip the switch and he's, you know, he's good. I wish, honestly, like, I think I'm a pretty emotional person, so I wish I could do that. But I also like, do emotions connect to expectations? Like, I think they do. Yeah.
Most definitely.
Because that specific example, Vampire Diaries, it's emotions that they turn off. Mm-hmm. But like, we're talking about expectations.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. Are expectations necessary for a healthy relationship? Or are they setting us up for disappointment? I mean, we kind of were starting to get to that.
Yeah. Are they necessary? I don't think you can get around them. Mm-hmm. I think it's very unavoidable. Like even for me, it's hard to not generate some level of expectation in any like either friendship or romantic relationship. It'll naturally be an occurring thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't think expectations are setting you up for disappointment. I think unmanaged or unrealistic expectations can definitely set you up for disappointment. But I think you have to constantly put up some checks and balances, you know, do like some emotional auditing to figure out are these expectations of mine realistic, you know, because there are many people who have who have some crazy expectations, but to them it sounds sane, you know, until they get with someone else, and then it's like, oh, you're the problem.
Okay, so that like leads me to another question. Are expectations like wrong or right, the ones that we have? Or is it just a matter of like compatibility? Me having an expectation, like we should probably use examples because it's kind of hard to talk about this.
Yeah.
But I might have to talk about Love Island because no. I can't think of an example of myself right now. But if you think about like Huda, when she had the expectation that Chris carry her, is she right or wrong? Or is it just like Chris and her are not compatible? Like, when do we have to check our expectations and be like, oh, this might be coming from, maybe it's not about right and wrong. Maybe it's just about healthy and unhealthy, which like is, I think, is the question that I just asked. Like, yeah.
Okay. When are they healthy and when are they unhealthy?
I guess is it dependent on where it's coming from? Like, just with everything in life, right? If you're doing something, really, it could be seen positive or negatively depending on where it's coming from. Is it coming from fear? Mm-hmm. or it could be coming from a totally different place that's healthy. So the action itself potentially is not the issue. It's the where or the root of it.
The root of it. Okay, so I was thinking about this question, and like I thought of one of my favorite movies, 500 Days of Summer. It's technically a romantic comedy, but it's not a romance, not a love story at all.
Oh yeah, I don't think I like that movie. I don't think it ends the way I want it to.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. But it's real though. It's real in that regard. But there's a scene in the movie where the main character, the guy, he had broken up with this girl and who he was obsessed with, and they'd been broken up for a little while, and they meet at a coworker's wedding, and he hasn't seen her for a while, and they're just kind of cool, and, talking, and they're dancing throughout the night, and she invites him over to her place, like maybe like the next week she has like this party at the house, and she's like, hey, you should come by, and when he goes to the house, like they set up a scene where it's like a split screen where it's like one is the expectation of what's going to happen and the other one is the reality of what's happening, and you're seeing like both play out, and it's so good that, and it hurts because like you've been in scenarios where like maybe you're on a date or maybe you're with someone you're interested in, and like you have that expectation of where things might go and how they might end by the end of the night, and the expectation was him and the girl, they're talking throughout the whole night and sparks are flying and they rekindle and they're making out by the end of the night. The reality was she had gotten engaged and he just noticed the ring on her hand. So there was no chance they were getting back together. And it was just like, yeah, the expectation that he had was based off of an I don't want to say unhealthy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having hope.
Yeah.
But he built it up to a level that it couldn't, like anything short of that happening, the way it would happen in his mind. And granted, don't get me wrong, it was like the worst case scenario of the reality, but I don't think we prepare ourselves for when reality hits because of our expectations. And then because of the expectation, we find ourselves wanting to blame other people's realities. So,
I mean, before you even said reality, I kept thinking reality, right? Because like his expectation was not really rooted in anything real.
No, I mean, they met at the wedding. They had a good time. They no making out, no kissing, no like, hey, I want to get back together. I'm still in love with you. None of that. They were just cordial, like they were kind of friends, like when they first met. And from that, unrealistic expectations lead to unhealthy realities.
Oof. Yeah, it's just so tough. I feel like it's so normal. Like everybody does this.
Yeah, I mean, and even to go back to...
And it could have gone that way. That could have been a potential...
In the realm of possibilities in the multiverse. Yes, sure, that could have gone. But again, when we set our expectations often conform to the reality that we tell ourselves. Like we're the main characters of the movie. So naturally, reality has to form in the way that we want it to, but that's not the way life works. Our expectations are our expectations, but there are also other people who have their own expectations that may not match, may not line up at all. And if that happens, it can't just be, well, screw everyone else's expectations.
Right. And that goes back to the compatibility piece.
Yeah.
Like it's instead of seeing other people as, getting angry with them or saying you're wrong. It's like, oh, we just are not, like, we're not compatible.
Yeah.
We don't align here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So like going back to Chris and Huda on Love Island. I mean, asking a man that you just broke up with to carry you across the water.
Maybe that wasn't the best example.
That's a bold ask.
Okay.
Granted, sure, he could do it. But if he's like, nah, those days are over, Johnny, then I don't know if you can still hold like, or even deserve to be angry at him for that. I mean, you can be if you want, but like, again, that goes back to the main character syndrome and thinking that your expectation should be reality and everyone
Yeah.
else's expectations will screw them.
Okay, this is like going into another topic area,
Do
but
it.
like a lot of people were upset with him because this idea of like he should have been a gentleman no matter what. And okay, we're getting off of expectations, and we're gonna come back
that's
to
still an
expectation.
expectation. That's
Yeah,
an
I
expectation
guess it is.
of what women expect from men,
Yeah.
and they expect chivalry no matter what. But if men were to expect femininity no matter what from women, would that also still
Interesting.
be would we still hold the same ground? Would we still stand on business for that? And I feel like that's not the case.
Yeah. I think I can see like some of the ways Chris, like the way he sees things, are a little like potentially countercultural, like with that piece right there,
Yeah.
right? Number one, the gentleman thing. But then also, I remember he made a comment that I thought was really interesting about Shelley, because he said something along the lines of like, he was raised to not like continue to chase someone when he's not getting anything back.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really profound.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's potentially an expectation also that women might have of men, is this like continued chase pursuit, no matter if you're giving them anything back. And I was like, when he said that, I respected him a lot in that moment.
Yeah.
But I think some other people could be like, no, I want to be chased or whatever. So I think him and his boundaries / his expectations of how he's going to carry himself and interact with other people, I guess, yeah, there's just some controversy there versus like what people may want to see from him.
Yeah. And again, I mean, granted, it's a reality TV show and it's highly edited and produced, but when you're seeing other people moving in ways that don't line up with your own personal expectations, you're looking at them like they're a weirdo, they're crazy. Why,
exactly.
Why would they do this? How come they ain't just do that? And it's like everybody got their own expectations. Like who are you to tell him his expectations are wrong, his standards are wrong, his boundaries are wrong?
Yes.
And it's like, if someone were to say that about you, you'd be up in arms.
Right.
But yeah.
And even like going back to their relationship, because that was the end of their relationship, Chris and Hutto, when that happened. But like they had mismatched expectations pretty much the entire time they were together. You know, she was not into PDA, and that was something that he wanted. So right there then, and they were, like you said, they're kind of like looking at each other crazy. Like they struggled to understand each other, and they kind of had to come to a agree to disagree. But that continued to happen, and I think that deteriorated their relationship over time, or just really uncovered the fact that they're not compatible.
Well, I want to skip to a question here because I think it falls in line with that. How can you tell if you've clearly communicated your expectation or just assume the other person should know?
How can you tell? I mean, it's easy to tell.
Is it? Because I feel like people struggle with this.
I mean, isn't it easy to tell if you literally say to someone, and honestly, I said at the beginning we weren't talking about romantic relationships, but now I feel like that's the lane we're saying in completely. I mean, But I guess this works for friendships. This works for literally anything.
Well, okay,
family.
Give a friendship, if you got one offhand.
You know, I think potentially we have to come outside of ourselves, because our expectations, they are formed by like who we are, how we were raised, culture, race, all these different things kind of build up to personality, up to our expectations. And I think it's how we see the world. And sometimes we forget that like other people see the world differently, and I have to explain that. So you really have to come outside of yourself and be like, oh, potentially this person does not see the world the way that I do. And so I need to explain it. So I guess that's one way to tell. Oh, I think another way to tell is like if you're experiencing frustration, like that's like an indicator right there that like, okay, I need to communicate something. I obviously haven't. It's continuing to happen.
Yeah.
So now it's time for me to like explain. And then when you explain, I think you have to do a lot of reflection to get to a point to just not make it like an attack on the other person and just literally own the fact that like this is the way that I want to be treated.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think frustration is definitely a key indicator. If you feel like you have explained it, but yet it's cyclically happening over and over again, then maybe you didn't explain it as clearly as you thought. I think also we tend to, when we're trying to talk about like our expectations, we tend to explain them in a manner that makes sense to us, and we don't always think about what makes sense to the other person, or how the other person might perceive that thing. I think too often people think, well, I said this and I was very clear, and what's clear to you may not be so clear to everyone else. So I think we have to do a better job. I mean, you're in the teaching field.
Yeah.
Not all children learn the same way. So you can't just be like, all right, well, I taught it this way, and if they don't know it, then hey, like, kids are gonna fall by the wayside if you don't make sure that you interact and say, okay, I'm dyslexic. Maybe learning or reading in certain ways isn't as helpful. You have to figure out a different way to so that you can receive the necessary information so you can move on. That happens just as easily in relationship dynamics. You can't just explain things the way maybe people explain to you, and be like, well, I did what I needed to do. Yeah, it's like, that's not how this works. Like, if you want this relationship to grow and flourish, whether it's friendship or romantic, you have to take the time to understand how that person thinks or operates, so that you can meet them, help them help you. Essentially, I think you do have to, again, look outside yourself, like you said, and also ask yourself, because a relationship may require a little bit more work than what you're used to, or willing to do, and have to ask yourself, okay, this relationship requires more from me or a different dynamic than what I'm used to. Do I want to continue to pursue this? Can I find something that might actually be fulfilling? Like, can I grow from this? And I don't know if most people actually want to grow. And that might be a thing. I feel like most people might not actually want to grow in our current emotional climate. We just want someone to fit into our world. Eesh. I feel like we're dealing with that a lot.
Me too.
Yeah, especially in, you've been in the dating apps a little bit. And I think one of the key things for people who are on dating apps is they're looking for someone to kind of just fit into the puzzle that they've already created. They're just looking for that last piece to fit in there, rather than meld and mold into something together. It's just like, all right, do you meet these checklists? If not, see ya. On to the next. But yeah,
I see both sides, because it's like,
both sides of the same couch? Go ahead.
There's probably, like we talk about, there's probably a million sides, but I'm seeing two sides in this specific example. I'm seeing two sides, because you're saying like people want someone that just fits into who they are, what their life looks like, the expectations they have, whatever. There's a piece of that I agree with, right? I think there's a lot of dating advice that you'll hear of like just really working on yourself, developing yourself, like figuring out just like what you like, how you want to live your life, and really just focusing on yourself. And then like the person that's for you will kind of meet you there, right? And meet you at your level, which I think is true. But I think what you're saying is then there's another added element that like we can't expect everything to just be perfect and for there to be like no bumps in the road, because it's two people.
Any relationship is going to have friction.
Right. Do you want a carbon copy of yourself? Like, no, but it's a hard thing to figure out, I think, especially dating, because another reason why this topic came up is because we started talking about this a lot when I was asking you advice about that one guy that I met, not on the apps, in real life. This one I met him in real life.
Yeah.
And it was very early on in our dating relationship, did not progress. We went on one date and that's it. But we had mismatched expectations at the beginning, especially when it came to like communication and I guess maybe pursuit, like the way he was pursuing me.
Yeah.
And I think you kept encouraging me to like be more forward about expectations that I had. And I think I was resistant to that because number one, I had just met this man. So like, it felt a little weird to me to be like going this deep with him about expectations. And I think for me, it was like the indicator of how we were mismatched on the way we planned our time or the way that we chose to communicate with each other. Like, I think I took that as a sign. It was like, oh no, I don't think this is a good, I felt like it was incompatible. You were pushing me though on that because you were like, how's he supposed to know?
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so that what's the phrase? If he wanted to, he would, which is a ridiculous.
Yeah,
thing.
I agree. I think so too.
It's like this idea that
I see. Once again, I see both sides.
Okay, I'll say it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because it assumes that the other party isn't doing it because they just don't want to. Like, but then again, is that other party a mind reader? Are they, Charles Xavier with the, just reading your mind and knowing exactly what it is that you want in your life? No, they've been in other relationships. There's a TikTok with this guy who just like, at this point, the list is like crazy long, but it's this
oh
list.
my gosh, I've seen this. Or you've sent it to me.
Of like all these
the
things,
icks, right?
the icks, all these different icks that women have and have said. And it's like, oh, I don't like a guy who, and it's the most ridiculous things. Like a guy who would cry at his parents' funeral, like that gives me the ick. Or a guy who wears shorts, or a guy who, it's the most ridiculous level of things. But like women have said this. And the list is maybe like 1,000 things long at this point, maybe more. But if these are the things men are hearing, then like, how are we supposed to know what you want and what you don't want? How are we supposed to like to navigate that if you don't tell us? Like there's like for all the he's not giving me enough communication. He was probably just talking to somebody who was like, oh, you're communicating too much. That's giving me the ick. Like, how are we supposed to navigate that if we don't, operate on we're going to treat each woman individually because they are individuals and they deserve individual, respect and appreciation. But we need y'all to tell us individually what you want and what you don't want from us. Like you can't just leave us, well, if you liked us, you would. Like we would what? Like what is it we should be doing?
Oh, now I feel kind of bad.
No.
For that guy.
Well, again, that's giving him the benefit of the doubt also.
Because I also think the stories that we tell ourselves as women is like, this could also be another possibility. He could have been talking to a bunch of different people. Yeah. There could have been someone that he caught his attention more, that he was like giving way more energy to.
Entirely.
Right? Yeah. So it's like but the story was unclear. So I guess what I'm hearing is like, might as well communicate your expectations. Yeah. Get clarity if that person chooses to give it to you. If that is something that they want to opt into or not opt into. So I guess that's the thing I would have will do differently in the future, instead of, because what I did was kind of just say to him after giving like it a few times and like seeing a pattern of behavior, because that's what you have to look at. You have to see at how someone's moving. Yeah. So I was watching how he was moving in his behavior, and I had seen it quite a few times. I felt like I was patient, and this is early. Like I just met you, bro. And then I kind of finally I felt like, I was very respectful, but I was just like, I don't think we're a match, based on the way you're moving and kind of what my preference is. Right. And, at first he kind of pushed on that, like, no, I think we are a match. But then, I said it again and he let it be. So with that situation, there wasn't a lot of depth there. We had just met each other. So I don't think there was a ton of things lost, but I guess I learned.
Yeah, you definitely learned. Yeah.
I just go back to like, when do you start doing these things with people? Right? Yeah. And then another question is, when is it too much? When is me trying to make it work or compromise with you and your expectations? How do we know like when it's just too much for us? When we're stepping outside of ourselves, because we talked about how we have to grow and we have to be willing to like mesh and mold with someone.
Yeah.
To have like a happy relationship. But like, how do you know when it's like, okay, this is too much for me. I'm bending too far. And I think my issue in past relationships has been to mold myself like to mesh too far into a way that it's not serving me anymore.
Right. Oof. How do you know? That's
In attempts, and I was doing that in attempts to meet someone's expectations.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of almost have to look at it piece by piece. You have to look at what you're aiming for. You have to ask yourself the questions of, is the hesitation that you're feeling to do with past traumas? Because we all have past, we all have drama, and we bring all of those things into any relationship, friendships and, romantic relationships. How do you have to look and see how those things might be overlapping. Is that something that can help you grow past that trauma, or is it a new form of trauma entirely? That's hard to judge on your own, because I think normally if it's just you in a vacuum,
yeah,
or you going to friends who instinctively want to, have your back and take your side, they may only be giving you
the ride or die.
Yeah. I mean, which is great in its moments, and you need that, but everybody does need someone in their life who can be like, you're wrong. Like, hey, I know this is hard, but you need to push past this, because it's ultimately gonna put you in a better position in your life. Yeah, going back to our first episode, you need somebody in your life who can, be real with you about, everything going on in your life, not just what you want to hear. I think too often we go to the people who will tell us what we want to hear. I think when we get desperate enough, that's when we'll go to people who will tell us the truth. But yeah, I think too often as people, we tend to go to the people who will tell us what we want to hear.
I think we need a little bit of both in life. Like, we need a balance. Like, we need people to support us and affirm us in our existence in the way we are. And then we both also need people to push. And sometimes that can be the same person, like the way that I described, the way that you are. I think sometimes we may need different things from different people. I think, but going back to the thing about the vacuum, especially if I think about my last relationship, like the reason I decided this was too much was because someone, it was a therapist, told me, like, was able to help me see clearly, like, this is not, you guys are not aligning. Like, it's not, and you keep trying, but really, like, the other person, my ex really wasn't in a place to meet me in the direction that I was trying to go.
Yeah.
And I think I was attempting so much to try, to get him to go to meet his expectations, and then also to get him to come the way that I ultimately wanted. And it wasn't aligned.
Yeah. I mean, I think when we talk about expectations, the first thing we need to think about is alignment. In relationships. I mean, just think about a car. If your car is misaligned, you're going to feel that on the road. Especially the faster you try to go, the worse it's going to feel.
Ooh.
So that's deep. Well, it's practical. But yeah, like, we try to do that in relationships, and we wonder why things are so bumpy. It's like, well, you're probably misaligned. And if you want to slow down, pull over, go to professional and try to see if you can align things, then by all means do that. But I think we overlook our alignment too often. I think because the thing that we're looking at in relationship is often potential.
Yeah.
We see the potential in that person, and like, oh, they've got all these things that I love about, and these things that check all the boxes. And, the potential is just so great. But if even things that you may not have even considered, you're misaligned on, again, it's maybe a small thing, but if you're moving at fast enough speeds, that misalignment may feel like that whole vehicle's about to fall apart. Yeah, alignment's crucial.
And I have two thoughts about that because, well, two things I think are necessary. One, and once again, we talked about this before, but in order to figure out if you are aligned with someone or misaligned, you have to know yourself.
Yeah.
You have to know your values. Mm-hmm. And I think that was my issue. I didn't especially before I got into my last relationship, the marriage I was in, I didn't know myself. I didn't know what I valued. I thought I did, but I think I had never done that self-discovery to really, really know. So that's how, and I think now even as I'm dating in this season of my life, I'm trying to pay attention as I'm getting to know someone, looking for the different values that they have. Because you can see them as you talk to someone. Yeah. You can really, they start popping out.
It's easy to overlook though.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that leads me to my next point, which was because I think people overlook them because emotions get involved. Mm-hmm. Or you start liking someone, so you just start overlooking all of the ways in which the relationship, if you're just looking at it logically on paper, it's ooh, it's misaligned. And I recently met a guy who the way he went about the dating process was really it felt really unemotional. And I mean, I do not prefer this, but I think his approach, there's something to be said for it because he wanted to talk about all the big topics very early on. Mm-hmm. Because I think he was trying to find if we were aligned because he didn't want to emotionally invest in someone and getting to know them and starting to like them if we were not aligned in a lot of big things. And the things he was asking me questions about was what life would look like with a part, if him and I were partners, do we agree about this and this, mm-hmm. It was weird. It was really weird because it felt really, there was no emotion.
It felt legalistic.
Yes. I didn't feel connected to him at all, really. There was not, I didn't feel warmth towards him. It felt just like a transaction.
Business arrangement.
A business. But part of me understands what he's doing. Part of me is oh, is this a smart way to go about things? There's got to be another way because there was a lot of things missing in the way that he did it.
Yeah.
But I see what he's doing. He's literally stating his expectations right at the beginning to hear if someone matches, which you described how people are on dating apps. They're just looking for someone to match.
Yeah.
And then he would move forward if he found someone that basically matches in the way that he's looking for. So what do you think about that? And what is because I don't think his way is the right 100% way. For me, at least.
Well, I think that's the key thing is that his way will probably be the right way for the right one. But for you, obviously, you're a very emotional person. Even though you like getting into deep in
conversation. Yeah. I enjoyed the questions he was asking.
You enjoy, because you're very thoughtful and you want to think about those things. But at the same time, you still felt like the questions he was asking them from a non-emotional place. Mm-hmm. It was just more for informational purposes. Yeah. So it didn't do anything. You didn't find any fulfillment or satisfaction from mm-hmm. it. So I think. Yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong way. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe there are some wrong ways mm-hmm. or ways that are more right than wrong. Mm-hmm. But I think it really just depends on the individual.
So you think his approach is right?
I think it may be right. Well, I don't even know. I mean, I think we tend to judge right and wrong based off of results. So is he finding the type of people that he's looking for through that means? Maybe not. But again, with the dating apps, it's a numbers game. Mm-hmm. There's a certain amount of saturation, and you don't want to feel like you're wasting time with someone. Mm-hmm. I think that's the universal truth that most people on apps feel. They feel unless this thing is progressing at the time that I've set, then I'm wasting my time with you. Mm-hmm. And we find ourselves treating people like products rather than people mm-hmm. on there. It's tough out there. Mm-hmm. But yes.
Okay, well, I think we've exhausted not exhausted. I think there's so much to talk about.
There's definitely a lot, but I feel like we've
hit some points, maybe
some heavy points,
insightful information,
and hopefully it's given you, the viewer, something to think about. And if you have any advice or thoughts about our own things that we've talked about, our points that we've gone over, please comment in the comment section, hit us up, and let us know. Anything else, Murphy?
That's all for today. We'll save it for next time.
Well, yes. Thanks again for watching Two Sides, Same Couch. Hope that you've gotten some from this. Hope that you've learned. And if you have any experiences that you think we can learn from, please share. And we'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.